Days of fighting in South Sudan have left nearly 500 people dead, according to United Nations diplomats. The country's president is blaming the violence on an attempted coup. But Western observers are still trying to pinpoint the root of the intense fighting that erupted in the city of Juba and then spread to the town of Bor, the scene of an ethnic massacre back in 1991. The U.S. State Department said it was organizing evacuation flights for its personnel in the country. Eric Kashambuzi is an author and consultant for the UN and serves as Secretary General of the United Democratic Ugandans, and he joins us to talk more about this conflict. Thank you so much for being here with us. It's good to talk to you. You know, I guess my first question is sort of about the history that underpins this current conflict. Is this really between two men, or do you think this goes back to the historic clashes between these tribes?
I think it's largely between two men. But it also goes back to the time when the people in Southern Sudan, because they had a common problem, the northern domination, they came together. And once the domination was over, there's nothing to bind them. And those of us who have studied revolutions and colonization in Africa know that that's what happens when the common problem has been removed. So that's one thing. In the case of South Sudan, even when they were fighting the Khartoum government, they were fighting among themselves. And John Garang, the late John Garang, and Riek Machar had a problem, and in fact they split and formed two organizations. Riek Machar had always wanted to be the leader of South Sudan. He was denied that opportunity. Maybe what is happening today is a continuation of that rivalry, fighting for power in order to get on top and control the resources of the country.
And so is it a grab for power for Machar, as you say, or is there some sort of animus specifically between Machar and the current president?
People are saying that there is a general dissatisfaction with what's happening in the country. And Machar has been doing a good job according to some assessments. So I think he was moving upwards. In order to preempt a takeover, some people are saying the current president, decided to move fast. So we don't know what is happening at the moment. I think we have to wait and see.
We have to wait and see. And as many people say, there's always three sides to the story.
Absolutely.
The two sides and the truth.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the U.S. interest here. You know, there's always that tricky issue of labeling conflicts. And if this is labeled a coup, then that puts the U.S. in a very specific position. So explain sort of what our interest is here and how we can be a part of stabilizing this very destabilized government.
I think the United States has a special role, whether it's a coup or not. It's leader of the first democratic countries. It has a special role in the region. It has been playing that role for a long time. It has been involved in the disputes between the North and the South. And I think the United States has a role to play, particularly at this time. If they don't, this situation could spread to other parts of the region.
And when you say that a role to play, do you mean a diplomatic role? Do you mean a military role? What do you think?
I do not favor a military role at this stage. I think the United States has power, has connections, and can put pressure by diplomatic means to make sure that the conflict stops, possibly immediately.
Possibly immediately. The French has many interests in Africa and has inserted itself in a number of conflicts around the continent. The French ambassador to the UN says that this violence could result in a civil war. I'm wondering what your sources are saying about what they think about the French sphere here.
Well, as I said, there's a possibility of a civil war happening. But I think what is happening right now does not lead to a civil war. There are many people, even in the group that is governing the country, the Dinka today, that are not very happy. And those could actually join forces with some other forces to make sure that there is a peaceful change. A civil war is very difficult. They have gone through a civil war. They know what it means. The history of Sudan, especially South Sudan, as you know, they went through slavery. They fought slavery. They fought against colonization. And the Dinka and other people in South Sudan had a population of 7 million people that were reduced to 3 million people. I don't think they don't want to go back to that situation. So the possibility of a civil war may happen if there are forces outside that have got their own interests that might push it to happen in order to benefit. As you know, that's a region that is very rich, potentially rich.
Lots of oil.
Lots of oil, lots of land, fisheries are there. So anybody interested in grabbing a portion of those resources would want to encourage a civil war to happen. But I hope common sense will prevail that it doesn't happen.
And finally, do you think this requires an international intervention, or is it possible for this to be worked out internally?
Left on their own, they are bound to fight on. And my recommendation is that everybody interested in the region, be it AU, be it the UN, be it regional leaders, must come in at this stage and prevent the war, the conflict from escalating into a full-blown war.
Yes, indeed. Eric Kashambuzi, we thank you so much.
You're welcome.